The earliest directive of the combined British and American Chiefs of Staff relating to air policy stated that from time to time heavy bomber forces would be diverted from their main strategic objectives if other objectives of political or military importance presented themselves. Before the United States entered the war, Berlin was subjected to many night raids by RAF heavy bombers. These attacks were supplemented by fast British Mosquito raids. Beginning in March 1944, the United States Air Force also sent numerous missions against the targets inside the city limits. The attacks were designed to disrupt the war industries and the transportation system of this most highly industrialized area in Germany outside the Ruhr. It was further intended to harry and disorganize the German High Command. During both February and March 1945, 3 large-scale attacks were made on the German capital. The large rail centers near the governmental area were specific targets. These attacks materially lowered the morale and will to resist of the German people and their leaders. Transportation is the lifeline of war economy and the vital factor in mobility of military forces. German rail transportation was becoming particularly vital as the results of strategic bombing forced the widespread dispersal of production facilities. During March, April, and May of 1944, strikes were made against French marshalling yards in preparation for the coming invasion. In the middle of February 1945, a plan was worked out which called for the destruction of all railroad workings in the Ruhr and surrounding areas. On 22 and 23 February 1945, Allied air operation Clarion was carried out against all small and medium rail points in Germany by more than 7,000 aircraft from all the American and British air forces. This resulted in the saturation of repair capabilities of the German rail system and precipitated a general disorganization of transport. Allied heavy bombers continued to strike at marshalling yards. Gießen was bombed in spite of bad weather, with devastating results to both the link between the Ruhr and southern Germany and the rail connection between the Koblenz area of the Rhineland and Leipzig and Berlin. The cumulative effects of concentrated pounding of rail systems caused unbelievable disruption to production of all war materials at the widely dispersed factories of the Reich. The efforts to thwart the Allied strategic forces of centralized targets now caused the final complete breakdown of the German war economy. Fighters sought targets of opportunity. Anything and everything that moved on the German earth was either bombed or strafed. It was only a matter of time. Dr. Sauer, chief of the Spear Production Ministry, has stated,
"At the moment when the attacks were carried on systematically against the railroads, it was all over."
Field Marshal von Rundstedt.
The dislocation of Germany's railroad system by air attack is one of the principal reasons for the loss of the war.
Reichsmarschall Göring.
Attacks on marshalling yards were most effective. Low-flying planes had terror effect and caused great damage to our communications. The success of the invasion was made possible by Allied air power. Without the United States Air Forces, the war would still be going on elsewhere, but not on German soil.
When a final cost analysis is made, it will show that the $27 billion price paid by the United States for the strategic bombing campaign in Europe was only an approximate 11% of our overall war expense up to December 31st, 1944. Of all the war's varied and titanic investments, there was surely no sounder one than this, if war investments can ever be calculated on a simple dollar and cents basis. The advance of technological developments resulted in the ultimate in firepower. The atomic age will see the further development of airborne devices beyond the conception of man. Because of the mobility, speed, and potency of weapons to be, air war, the third dimensional aspect, must be recognized as the primary determinant in attaining a military victory.